So we are proceed to the next one. The concluding lecture of this session, pictorial session with Mr. Someslal Mukhopadhyay.
আলোটা দিন একবার স্টেজে আলোটা দিন চোখের প্রবলেম হ্যাঁ ঠিক আছে স্টেজের আলোটা ইয়েটা না অডিটোরিয়াম না এইখানটা স্টেজের আলোটা দিলে ভালো হয়
স্টেজের আলোটা দিতে দাও
অডিটোরিয়াম বন্ধ করে দাও
অডিটোরিয়াম বন্ধ করে দিন স্টেজটা দিয়ে অডিটোরিয়াম
I must apologize at the outset for being rather out of sorts today, and on top of that, there is no time, as our sir told me that I have to complete it within 10 minutes, which is almost an impossible task. But I'm trying nevertheless. My very version, I have not memorized all these things, so I have to kind of read, and I have to proceed like a Japanese super first grade. Now, first I start with a question from Saul Leiter. He says something to the effect that reality as we see on the surface is not always that important. Art is more interested in what lies beneath the reality, which I have called inferior in next. And there's a very important quotation from Eliot's poem once more. The streets that follow like a tedious argument of insidious intent to lead you to an overwhelming question. Oh, do not ask what is it. Let us go and make our visit. Now, street photography, everybody knows, is one of the largest global movements in photography. The present note is purported to capture some vicissitudes that street photography has been slowly but definitely undergoing over the last few decades. How to do so? We have just taken a small sample from a very few photographs, and with that we try to demonstrate our point. Now, sorry. I'm sorry, very sorry. Now, one may describe street photography as that genre of non-documentary, non-invasive, and non-premeditated photography that captures moments of ever-unfolding drama of human existence, never interfering it in any way at a public place or the very sight of this unfolding. While being aware that a watertight compartmentalization into various genres of photography is often misleading, one may still ponder upon the basic features of street photography following Lucas Palka as being the mundaneness, transience, and otherworldliness. While the feature of transience comes from the fleeting nature of both the theme of the photograph and the very act of taking it, the most telling features perhaps of a street photo are its mundaneness and otherworldliness. Now, these two features together make a street photo capable of transporting, as it were, a fragment of reality to the sphere of the inferior, to borrow a prefix from the philosopher Gilbert Wright, the sphere of that which grounds the reality, and thereby of transforming the most commonplace into the extraordinary. This happens because of the photo being infused with the photographer's tacit judgment, which in the case of street photography is not bound by the aesthetic diktats of any jargon of authenticity regarding the theme as well as the rules of composition, etc. In particular, the features of mundaneness makes the street photographer respect the Dasein, the thrownness into being of his or her subject, thus making the photos and the viewers open to the qualms of human existence. Now, to street photography, as such, over the years, the street photography has imbibed more of the emancipatory spirit it already consisted in. And we have sources of examples where lack of sharp focus, or of any focus for that matter, blurs, distorted or even spooky images, distortions created by the camera, have all become the order of the day for street photography. Thus, even though amid all these aberrations, the basic features of street photography as related to above remain constant, the works of street photography increasingly begin to look like impressionist or abstract or even expressionist works. Now, at the outset, we are again saying I'm taking a very small sample. It is not otherwise possible to say anything in such a short time. The photographer we first consider is the American photographer Saul Leiter, who was born in 1923 and died in 2013. Now, one of the most important things to note about this is that although he is regarded as one of the iconic photographers of mid-20th century, he couldn't get any recognition before he was in his 80s. But he shot into fame with the publication of his first photo book in 2016. One of the reasons, apart from his reportedly deep apathy to beat his own drums in a world governed by rat race of his unrecognition, maybe that his themes were both extraordinarily commonplace and extraordinarily outwardly. So he says the photographers give to the viewer sometimes beauty hidden in overlooked ordinary. This quote gives us the quintessential characteristics of Leiter's street photos. He always drew out the extraordinary from the most ordinary. The passion for, in early life he took to painting, and he was very impressed by expressionist painting. And this fascination for expressionist painting also led to a fascination for color, for which incidentally he is regarded as a master, this Saul Leiter. His photos of ordinary life are thus marked by instances of soft focus, blindness, and this holds for all the kinds of street photography I am considering here. And his pencil-like handling of the dynamics of light and shade and reflections, etc. Now let us turn to the photos very quickly. You see the talk of soft focus and all, ethereal beings. Yeah, these are the, remarkably signature photographs by Saul Leiter. Again, he is manipulating the reflections. Again, from behind a glass door or something. Now, this is one of the very famous photos by Leiter. Like this. You see, a very normal, most ordinary photo has been turned into an abstract photo, almost. Again, this. This reminds one of abstract expressionism, by some painting by Mark Rothko or somebody. Now, well, complete with the advertisement of Coca-Cola. So, these are genuinely street photographs. Well, the next photographer that we are going to consider is Alexei Titarenko, the Russian photographer who was born in 1962. Titarenko is famous for oniric and eerie photos capturing moments of the frailty of people with broken dreams and shattered hopes in the post-perestroika period in Russia, particularly in St. Petersburg, that's why Leningrad, and elsewhere. Influenced strongly by Dostoevsky and Western classical music, he pursued street photography to communicate about his times and the predicament of man in the world, as well as in his surroundings. In order to achieve this, he often disregarded the textbook rules again, and he created shadowy, blurred, and oniric images to bring forth the ambience of sorrow and hopelessness. That this shows that, as his own for street photography, is that Titarenko's photos are very existentialist in intent. So let us turn to the photos now. Yeah, streets that follow like tedious argument to lead you to an overwhelming question like that. I mean, these are all published by in his exhibition called La Ville des Ombres, the city of shadows. And you see the people moving, almost you are looking at the quantum state of the people moving, not the real one. Yeah. Absolutely, all the traditional definitions of razor sharp focus and all that, no blur, absolutely thrown into air. You see, a procession. Next important photographer we are talking about is Trent Parke, the Australian photographer, for whom success came very early. He was born in 1971, and he got a membership, first Australian member of the Magnum Photos. Now, his pictures are characterized like, with a poetry-like feel, and a strong emotional vibe. But perhaps the most important mark of Parke's photography is persistent use of the chiaroscuro in his work. He once said, "I am forever chasing light." And so that is his mantra. Because light, he says, turns the ordinary into the magical. So these are some of the photos by Trent Parke. Excuse me if I am being too fast, but there's no. You see, absolutely abstract. But again, the chiaroscuro is there. Again, the chiaroscuro. Very efficient chiaroscuro. Again, same thing. This is, by the way, this particular photo was very famous. He shot into fame with this photo. This he called the white man. Actually, so you can see that this hides his political comment against apartheid, obviously. Right. Next, we shall consider a later photographer, was quite young, Olga Karlovac, a Croatian photographer. She has exhibited widely in Europe with recent. And again, her style is absolutely to throw away the textbook rules and create dreamlike, eerie photos to evoke your memories and all that. So with these ideas, she creates black and white photos that are poetic and oniric in nature, sometimes leading to photos that are downward spooky. So let us cut short the text and go into the images. You see, he's not distorting the pictures out of mistake. She is deliberately distorting it. That is one of her themes in photography. You see? Yeah, the men are shadow men, kind of, from a dream world, as it were. Yeah, spooky, you cannot, headless guard, something like that. Now, in conclusion, I must say that two main things appear from a close look at the above examples. First, street photography has come a long way from being just a candid and value-free recording of life in public to being a strict form of art that elevates the most haplessly commonplace aspects in it to its infrareal ground, despite the frown of authenticity that looks down upon it. Secondly, the street photographer, despite Susan Sontag's depiction of him or her as a mere flaneur, I mean, thank God she didn't mention them as mere voyeurs, more and more includes his or her personal intuition, psychological state, and empathy while creating the image, setting aside the rules of high aesthetics in order to raise the commonplace to the level of the extraordinary, giving it a new value, not value-free, and raising the real into the abstract and at times the surreal. Well, that was more or less what I have to say in this section. Thank you.
Thank you, Someslal Mukhopadhyay, for your deliberation. We are going to conclude the session because we are sorry that we couldn't take any questions regarding the last. If one or two questions, maybe if there is any question for this last 2-3 topics, deliberations by Shubhamoy Chaki, Shombu Das and Someslal Mukhopadhyay. Is there any question? I think there is no question. Everybody has now learned everything about all the topics. So I may conclude it. So there is no question. Okay. So let us proceed for the tea.
No, not for tea. Oh, no, sorry, not for tea.
Now, the last section, the sixth section is visit to new BITM gallery. Those of local people who have already visited, they did not go, they can go to the upstairs for tea. But I would request our foreign delegates and others who are interested to join us for Lost of Sea in this floor. Lost at Sea. Very interesting gallery, new gallery. You will enjoy it, I hope so. And after that, we will go to the upstairs for tea. And those who are not interested, they can go to the upstairs for tea directly. Okay? And tomorrow is closed for the local delegates, but foreign delegates I will announce soon. I will inform them what is to be done, from where our person will speak up, and what is the digital program. So, and for the others, local delegates particularly, you please turn up on 27th before 5 o'clock. We must start our program at 5 o'clock because our guest of honor, who will deliver the valedictory speech, he will have to leave within 45 minutes. He has a very important meeting with the central government from other side, so he will stay only 45 minutes with us, but our program will continue. So we must intend to start our program just right 5 o'clock. So I would request all the delegates to come before that. So with this, I thank you all for being patient hearing and patient participation and for your active cooperation. With this, we close now here's program at this auditorium. Okay? We'll meet day after tomorrow for all, and to you I will meet tomorrow also. Okay, thank you.